I know that if I work out today, I'm a better man today. I'm a more patient man today. I'm a more creative person today. I'm a more productive person today. I will sleep better tonight. My sex drive improves. I am sharp. I'm articulate, and I'm specific and direct when it comes to being able to communicate with people. All these amazing things happen. It's life-changing in the moment. It's life-changing that day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of the BODi Experience Podcast. I'm Carl Daikeler, and the reason this is so special is not only do I have the very first super trainer in Beachbody, now BODi history, certainly one of its most prolific, but probably, arguably, the funniest and most interesting of them. Welcome to the BODi Experience, Mr. Anthony S. Horton. Tony Horton, are you there, sir?
Funny and interesting. Now the pressure's on, Carl. Good Lord. Good, man. How are you? I'm good to see you, brother. Appreciate that intro.
No,
Yeah.
well, look, we started this whole thing started as friends, funny, weird friends doing the weirdest things on ski mountains. And, since I said that, we got to tell people, where are you? What sort of Swiss chalet are you in?
I'm in, this is my place in Jackson Hole, and my wife, Sean, and I are here for the fall, or late summer, early fall, and this is an annual trip for us, and this is our very ski pad, as you can see, right? So, it's still fall. People think I'm here skiing, but not yet.
When does it actually turn into ski time?
It will happen end of October. The snow will start to fall. The leaves will start to be almost gone. And then mid-November, the beginning of the snow. Sometimes the mountain will open up at Thanksgiving. It's always hit and miss.
That's
But
magic.
December 1, this place is going full tilt. I mean, it's just like that. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, good for you.
Mm.
What, 66 years old, still cutting the powder?
67.
Oh.
67.
Wow.
Yeah. It just keeps going. That clock keeps going round and round.
So, yeah, I get it. You can't stop it. That's for sure.
Well, I'm slowing it down pretty good. I
No,
gotta say.
and well, how old were you when we produced P90X?
I keep thinking that on set, I said I was 46. It's 46. So that was 21 years ago on the set. We were developing at 20.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I was 40, 41 when I went through the program, so that checks out. I'm 61 now. So now look, you have changed millions of lives with P90X. I was talking to some people the other day, and they were just like, what's so special about this thing? Where's it come from? What's the name mean? Blah, blah, blah. Some people are like, oh, it's 90 minutes. And right, they think it's a 90-minute program. I just wonder, when you look back really at the whole experience of what we built together, like we were going through this whole thing. There was no roadmap. We didn't know what we were doing. We had a premise. Certainly it was what I chose, what I needed. So it worked there. But when you look back at all this, what do you think made the construct of Power 90 and then P90X and P90X 2 and 3 and 22-minute hardcore and these, like, what made it so special and such, and frankly, for that matter, created a phenomenon that even the infomercial industry at the time was like, that'll never work?
Well, at that time you had Jane Fonda doing her thing, and you also had Richard Simmons doing his thing. And, those were the infomercials that you saw. And they were kind of basic. They were getting people to move. But, I mean, honestly, man, this came from your directive. Like, you said, I mean, I was training Springsteen and Tom Petty and Billy Idol and Annie Lennox and, every rock and roller around. And you basically said, well, what do you do with them that gives them such great results that we can do in front of a television with some bands and dumbbells? And, you gave me about a month and a half, and I said, that's pretty easy. And we figured it out. And I said, hey, it's got to be 6 days a week. It's got to be often, like eating and breathing and working and paying your bills. It's got to be all the time. And, based on a few conversations between you and John and I, that's how Power 90, this is post a Great Body Guaranteed. That's how, and again, Power 90 didn't do very well because it was the antithesis of what everything else everybody was seeing on TV. But eventually people woke up to the fact that it was the real deal. Like, you're working out, you're lifting weights, you're using bands, it's serious. And then I don't know if you remember the conversation. Well, what should we do now? We've had great success with Power 90. And I said, we should make it a little easier. And you said, no, Let's make it harder. I'm like, okay, fine. And then we had to debate, should it be like a mastery program, like 6 workouts, just keep doing them and upping the ante and, increasing the intensity and adding weight. And I said, man, we got to add the yoga. We got to add the martial arts. Let's make it twice that. And then we came up with the muscle confusion thing, which Arnold Schwarzenegger to this day says, it's not the real thing, muscle confusion.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see you helping 20 million people, dude.
Right.
But what we did worked. And Billy Idol gave me that muscle
Oh,
Confucius
really?
title. Yeah, that's kinda how it got started. I don't know if you knew that or
I
not,
didn't
but
know that.
yeah. Yeah, I'd show up at his house because I always would trick him because he had a short attention span, kinda like me and you. Like, show me something different so I can show up and conquer that. And that was really the origin of it. I don't know what kind of expectations we had, but, that first year and a half, it kinda died. But people were submitting their before and after pictures and sending in their videos, and with the test group was the real deal. We put that out there, but once we put mom and pop and aunt and uncle and kids in the infomercial, it just ba-boom.
Was there anything in that period of time was what I would say sort of the P90X phenomenon was probably a solid 8 years, I would say. And I just wonder, I never asked you this question. Is there any like story that sticks out to you as being the most shocking or gave you chills or that like you couldn't believe yourself? Or was there any aspect of it? I don't want to pin you down into one story, but is there any aspect of it that you sit back and you're still like, I can't believe I was a part of that happened.
Kathy McDonald, 125 pounds. Richard Neal, 240 pounds or something insane like that. And then, Jeremy Yost, who, he came to QVC with me. When he was on QVC, he weighed 181 pounds. Before P90X, he weighed 181 pounds times 2. So, those are just incredible stories. Also, the longevity of the program. I mean, dude, the cop that pulled me over for speeding in town here let me go because he's still doing P90X, you know what I
No.
mean? Oh, yeah, and I met him at a party 2 nights ago, and he came up and said, "Hey," I didn't recognize him because he didn't ha he had a shirt on, not his cop out, said, "Hey, man, I don't know if you remember me, about 8 months ago, I pulled you over. Anyway, let's go skiing." So, whatever. And then there was a couple of trainers at this little event here in town, and, whatever. It's still to this day, if I leave this house, I leave the other house, I go out in public, people tap me on the shoulder and you know what I mean? The guy used to play for the Red Sox, and now he's for the Dodgers. I went to go meet, Freddie Freeman, a P90X user. He got the, MVP for the World Series
Right.
last year.
Yeah.
So I go to meet him, and he goes, "By the way, when I was playing AAA, P90X is what got me to the majors." Right? And then it's like, "Well, I just went to go shake his hand." He's telling me that.
Crazy.
And then one of the announcers, same thing, goes, "Dude, I do your yoga twice a week, automatic, still do it."
Unbelievable. Well, a funny story. Last night, I was at the Dodger game, and, I try to go to, like, 1 game a year, and so, because I go to 1 game a year, I get the best possible tickets, like and they have these seats where you're, like, maybe 3 feet you're sitting 3 feet below the field, so this is, like, you're looking at their ankles on the on-deck circle. S
I know those seats.
so Freddie is on the on deck circle and you say their names and they're right there and he looks down at me and I go, "P90X, baby." And he gave me the wink. I think I got the wink.
No! No! Is that because you knew, but a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago I had
Yeah, because you
said
had sent
hello
that
to him?
picture around. I'm like, let me see if I get acknowledgement here. So magical.
It's no, I mean, like, think about that. What other maybe Insanity has had that amount of attention over all these years, but I mean, worldwide, man, worldwide, 20 years later, people are still doing it, you know what I mean? And I'm thrilled that we can begin to introduce him to something fresh, you know what I mean? Like, back up like a pterodactyl or don't smash your face. I mean, how many times you wanna hear those jokes? I mean, they're
Yeah.
they're classics,
Well,
but it's
so let's get into that because we went through a transition. You had some ideas and and every once in a while, guy wants to do a solo album. So Power of Four was sort of the culmination of everything you've been learning and experimenting with What is it about this program that you're kind enough now to license to us to add to the BODi platform? What is it about the power of four that makes it different from everything else that you've created or everything else that we did together?
I think there are some key components here that I think make it stand out, compared to anything I've done in the past. Certainly one is there's 25 routines. So it's ultimate muscle confusion. And that's the way I've been training probably since post Power 90. Just adding new things and new angles and jumping in different ways and doing pull-ups in different ways and putting my hands in different directions and picking up my speed and focusing on my balance and focusing on my range of motion on particular exercises. Also, too, the power of four, on any given day, not all days, you're given one or two choices. If there's a leg day, I give you two different options. If there's a chest and back day, there's two different options. I mean, when you've got 25 routines, you can do that. And so what happens a lot of times, people go, "Oh my God, it's leg day." Oh, but I did that I did, I'm trying to think of one, like, for example, martial arts. I did kicking and punching, last week. This week, I want to do attack and defend because it's still martial artsy, but it's still a different version of it. And I think that keeps people more interested. Uh, Obviously, the muscle confusion thing, different movements, different directions, that kind of thing is part of it. But the reason why the stop options are there, and let me explain what they are a little bit. So let's say the routine is 50 minutes long. You'll see a stop option at about the 15-minute mark, which is you'll see in big red letters, stop option. And then you'll see me go, "Hey, everybody, here we are. It's our first stop option. Opportunity for you to kind of chill here. Fast forward to the cool down. Maybe this is all the time you got, or maybe you're new to fitness and this is the best you can do. But if you're ready, go to the second stop option." So, and then people would typically will go, "Wow, I got to the first one. My intention was to stop there, but I feel pretty good now. The oxygen's moving. I think I'll go to the second one." And if there is a third one, especially if some of these routines are closer to an hour, then maybe they will, or maybe they won't go to that third stop option. But what it does is it gets people to move more consistently over the course of the time of the program. And then the other thing too is old cast members, new cast members, all new jokes, which is kind of critical. And by the way, I think one of the main reasons why P90X did so well was it was the rapport between cast members and me. It felt like a family, and you hear that over and over and over again. So the humor and the relationships in the community that was created, and you're going to get that times 10 plus the stop options. And of course, we have powering up and powering down. We used to say intensify, modify, and so we have either two or three people behind me who are either, turning the volume up or turning it down depending on where they are with their fitness.
Well, one of the things that I saw in the program when you sent me the screeners was like it's super personal. Like it felt or we're in your house, right? And so it's your home gym, it's your buddies,
Yeah.
and it just feels personal. And
Mm.
I mean, you've always had that good eye contact and that relationship with the camera, but you're in your own space. So it just feels like it's like literally your workout buddies. And, you know, now speaking of personal, this was your first program that you produced after you had that health scare.
Mhm.
Like that had to be really something to come back from this issue, and I'll let you describe it, but then what that path was to go, all right, now I'm going to take on and do 25 workouts in a 90, it's 90 days, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to do a 90-day program, 25 different workouts. Oh, by the way, I was wheelchair bound a few months ago. Like how did that happen?
Well, what's interesting? One of the main reasons why the power of 4 exists the way it does, other than the reasons I just gave, is because of that illness, because I got so sick, because I had to have some kind of a comeback. I mean, I couldn't get out of bed for 3 months. I couldn't eat, except for some rice and a little shake in a thimble, and that's why I lost the 25 pounds. So a lot of that had to do with the fact that, uh, my life prior to that moment was because I wasn't dealing with my stress. I never knew that I had to. I just thought life is hard and you just grind away and then hopefully it'll all turn out okay. But I ended up with shingles in my brain because of the stress. And that's about the last place you want shingles. So the lesson there was if you're going to build a new program, other than working on your rehab and getting your weight back on and getting strong enough again and being able to like look left and right without falling over or throwing up, what components are missing? And and to further to answer the question you just asked, And to kind of complete the question you asked before is there needed to be a mindfulness component. There needed to be meditation. There needed to be body scan meditation. There needed to be a philosophy here. I mean, if you look at the 4 pillars, right? It's fitness, diet, supplementation, and mindfulness. And before with P90X, we had it. We had warm ups, cool downs, and yoga. But this is really integrated into it because if you're going to train this hard, you got to learn how to chill too, as much. So the mindfulness component was all stemmed from that illness and adding that to this program. And I've discovered, and now I train completely differently now. I know the difference between parasympathetic and sympathetic, right? There have to be a balance between these two things, right? Fight or flight or rest and recover. It applies to life. It applies to your stress levels and how you deal with them. It also applies with if you're going to work this hard, you got to look at LeBron James. The guy's going to be 41 because he spends as much time in infrared saunas and ice baths and foam rolling and massage and all that other stuff, his body heals and recovers. Because at 67, my recovery time is longer if I don't do that. So the idea here is if we want people to be successful with the power of 4, then of course they have to do the routines. They have 2 different options on 2 different days. They have ability to power up or power down. They can stop 2 or 3 times in the course of a single workout. And when they're done with the workout, they have this mindfulness component so they can heal and recover and have the energy and enthusiasm to get back at it the next day, week after week.
Yeah. Well, when you say week after week, so I got it. I got the 4 pillars, and that makes a lot of sense, and it's super functional. And I agree. We've sort of always been there with all those pillars, but we never called them out. So I like that you're calling them out so that people are consciously checking all the boxes. But what is it about this that when you say week after week, I mean, you've been a machine of consistency for as long as I've known you. If anything, if you're moody, I can tell you didn't do your workout that day. It's like,
By the way, that's most people. What I mean?
yeah,
They don't realize why am I so cranky today? Because you didn't work out for the last 48 hours. That's why you're so
exactly.
cranky.
Like it
By the way,
catches up to you.
before this conversation, I did 8 200-yard hill sprints. That's why I'm still dressed like I just got done with a workout. Because I just know who I would be with it, and I know who I am without it. And I only had 35 minutes. I mean, I literally ran, drank some water, and sat in this chair because I know what my priorities are.
So what is it that triggers that for you? Like that's a gem that I think the listeners or viewers can take away. What is that trigger for you that gets you going like in the middle of the day or whatever when it's like, screw it, tomorrow I got a podcast coming up.
I think it's adjusting your priorities, man. Knowing what's important and knowing what's not as important. And so I mean, a lot of this comes from reading John Ratey's book Spark. I tell anybody and everybody, and he's been in my Paragon events. I had a mastermind with him about a month ago. He's been a real mentor and a coach, kind of like you were early on. Like you're the one that kind of guided me into being the guy that I am. I mean, it was your direction early on that, and we had that rapport, and we had that silliness from pretending we were Germans in Deer Valley, whatever.
Right.
We had built this relationship, and I built that with John Ratey as well. I mean, I sound like a broken record. Anybody looking in says so. I know that if I work out today, I'm a better man today. I'm a more patient man today. I'm a more creative person today. I'm a more productive person today. I will sleep better tonight. My sex drive improves. I am sharp and I'm articulate and I'm specific and direct when it comes to being able to communicate with people. All these amazing things happen for me, not only physically. Sure, I'm at 11.3% body fat, which is the leanest I've been in the longest time,
Wow.
partly because of diet, and that's, part of the whole equation.
Mhm.
But it's this mindfulness component, it's this consistency component, it's this diet component. And when it comes to the exercise, if I work out, I'm like you said, if I if I haven't worked out in a couple days, I'm ornery and I'm moody and I'm tired and I just don't feel like, you know, getting stuff done. I'm a procrastinator. It's life changing in the moment. It's life changing that day. That as opposed to sitting around taking a picture in 30 days, which is great too. Like, oh, look at the physical change.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I met after day 90 and it all fell away again.
Right.
There was this cop who was, he's a 6'6" cop, and I met him at some event. And he came to the event because he goes, when I did P90X, I stuck to it. I did the diet. I looked exactly like I wanted. And on day 91, I got, what am I supposed to do now? And when I saw him, he was 36 pounds heavier than on day 90. And I would, "Dude, you were doing it for all the wrong reasons. Do it because you wanna be a better human being." And by the way, here's the short answer: joy, happiness, and laughter. How often do you have that all the time? Joy, happiness, and laughter is really like, "How do I feel today?" I ask myself this question, "What's my pain and fatigue like right now? What's my stress level like right now? How happy am I right now?" Based on those answers, who can I be today? And that's why I train as hard as I that's why 8 sprints
Yeah.
of 200
Well, one
200, right? I
thing
mean,
is for sure, uh, you don't have joy. What say joy, happiness, laughter. You don't have that if you're miserably sick, or if you're afraid of heart disease, or if the doctor's telling you you got to get your shit together, and you're you're accelerating your demise. Like nobody's gonna laugh, right?
no,
And
no, those things don't exist in people's lives at all.
right. Exactly. Like they got, you go from all the problems to one problem, and you got to fix that. So might as well do that. This is all stuff that you've covered in your books. How many books have you written?
Number 4 is about to come out, number
Oh,
4.
really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what can you give us any sort of preview of what to expect from number 4? Or is it too early?
No, absolutely not. It's called Vitality 50 Plus. And and this book was created with my good friend Greg Justice. Greg Justice runs the Jack LaLanne world. He works directly with Elaine LaLanne, and he's written the last book about him. And he's been a trainer for a lot of professional sports teams. He's been around a long time. He's a brilliant guy and also a great writer. So it's been a great collab. But I mean, I just have a friend of mine, one of my best friends, maybe you met him back in the day, I won't say his whole name, but he's got full on Alzheimer's, man, and he's had a eating and drinking problem the whole way, and so, was it genetics? Is it environmental? Is it behavioral? It's a combination of those things, and one of my best friends had a heart attack and died, had to be resuscitated, and another friend had a stroke, and of course, I had Ramsay Hunt syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it when you from about 50 forward, if you don't start to get it together, then the last 10, 20, 30, if you get to 40 years, are just gonna be awful. There's gonna be no joy, happiness, and laughter, you know what I mean? So the book, here are the basic rules, some things you might wanna try going forward so that you can turn things around. And then the book is filled with testimonials from people 50 plus, a lot of them in their 60s and 70s that are just kicking ass, man, just doing the right thing, living large, the same kind of and a lot of them, 2 of the folks that are interviewed are who live here in Jackson Hole. Um, this guy, John Canningager, who's climbed Everest and climbed, the Grand behind me, which is like the scariest mountain in the world right behind my backyard. He goes up and down like a hike in the morning. Uh, just these people who are just, and their philosophy. And then Ewan McGregor wrote the forward, which is kind of amazing and impressive. He's just a wonderful guy, and I've gotten him ready for Obi-Wan and some other films and stuff. And he talks about where he is in his right now. And he said, even in the intro, in the forward, he says, "I feel a bit of a fraud because I'm kind of out of shape. And this book is kind of for me. Like, how do I get back into the game again?" So, it's about honesty and authenticity and how to kind of turn things around. We're calling it V50 plus, which I really P90X, V50 plus. Well, and by the way, there's like one of the guys that comes to my house regularly. He came to my Paragon event in Santa Ana. His name is Marco, just a wonderful guy. He and his wife came. P90X user, great results, gained more weight and was bigger than when he started. And so that book is for him, So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's funny when you talk about like, me, that this whole thing sort of came out of my own lack of consistency unless I was dialed into a program. That's why we called it Power 90, right? I'm gonna power in through 90, but then I would stop and put another 10 back on, another 15 back on. And but I've gotten into a good tempo, I would say the last 2 years. I've found a mojo because I built a little community. We got the community, and I'll put together groups every 4 to 8 weeks, and a new bunch of people, and we're all just keeping all virtual. We're keeping each other accountable. But I was thinking about, I'm like, I've never thought that I would live very long. Like I never thought I was going to live like into my 80s and 90s. I just never thought about it really, but I just thought, hey, 75 sounds good. But 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 for the heck of it,
Yeah, it does.
Well,
I'll tell you, 67 is a freaky number, man, I gotta tell you.
so I did math, and I figured that that okay, if I do a workout a day from my next birthday through my 90th birthday, that'll be 10,295 workouts.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
that's my goal, and I'll let myself have 295 hall passes. So I gotta do 10,000 workouts by my
Mm.
90th birthday, and then maybe I'll take a week off when I'm 90. I think people look at this sometimes like they gotta get it in a just they gotta get it, and they gotta be disciplined, and they gotta figure out for the rest of their lives. I've been running this business for 27 years now, and literally last week is when I had the insight that, "Oh, I should work out the rest of my life." So it takes a while, but, uh, but you
Hey, it's kicked in for you though, so that's good. And the one thing I wanna add, sorry to cut you
no,
off,
it's alright.
is that you've created a community, and with a community, you can be consistent. I mean, at my house in LA, I got 15 places to work out, I got pegboards everywhere and 19 machines inside the house, plus that big open space for whatever animal flow, yoga, whatever, Pilates. And if I didn't dial up those emails every day, "Hey, who's coming?" I invite 30 people for plyo because I hate plyo so much, but I understand how important it is. And thank God, 99.4% of the time, at least 2 people show up. That means I gotta go do it. And then after I do plyo, we run the hill sprints because I read in the New York Times that 80% of Americans after the age of 30 will never run fast again. That ain't gonna be me.
Oh,
You
wow.
know what I mean?
Mm.
And I've blown out my hamstrings 4 times in a year
Oh my gosh.
because I was doing too much. But, look, it is prioritizing. Like, my whole philosophy is, do you wanna survive? Barely. Or do you wanna thrive for the rest of your life? So surviving barely means sporadic or not at all, or drinking Dr. Pepper all the time and eating double cheese chimichangas and just being lazy through your life. Um, but we're consistent with paying our bills and sleeping every night and eating our meals and showing up to work and whatever. And that's the surviving part. The people who thrive are the ones who just do what we're doing. We just, and that's why I put the stop options in. If you can't do the first 15 minutes of one of the two workouts I'm giving you in the power of four, well then I don't know what to say. I'm giving you all the tools you possibly can have to live a fantastic life, physically, mentally, and
Yeah,
emotionally. That's what I'm giving you. But I can lead those horses to water. They don't want to drink. I mean, the worst kind of advice to give is the kind that's never been asked for in the first place because your best intentions are received with resentment. And I don't need to be
yeah,
resented for helping people,
sure.
right?
Well, you know what I think is actually gonna get a resurgence is, in the catalog is 10-minute trainer, because we're gonna do a
Totally.
push. Because I think, there's 185 something million people overweight or obese, in just North America. These are adults, and there's science or studies that show that 10 minutes a day can actually satisfy or check the box to avoid muscle loss. If you're doing it right, kind of the way 10-minute trainer is structured. So I
Dude, I've seen those studies. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's gonna be helpful for people who are like, "Hey, man, I can't be doing this P90X thing or these 45 minutes or these 30 minutes." All right, 10 minutes. If you wanna have 10 years of health and vitality and agility and mobility, you're gonna need to find a way to do 10 minutes, and I think that'll work for people, but as I was thinking about all this, and I knew what you were gonna say, we've talked enough that I
Right.
know your stand on things, but you know what I've never asked you? Um,
Uh-oh.
I've never asked you, my friend Tony, what if we hadn't started this business?
Oh
Like,
my god.
what would you be? Where do you think you would have gone? Like, what do you think would have happened? Would you still be a trainer? Would that have been the direction? Would you have been a stand-up comic, a actor, rock star?
Well, I mean, you probably remember when you and I first met, I went off and I was a trainer for those, actors, but most of them were, Eastern European actors for that movie, The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas, and I had 2 little roles in that, and then 2 summers ago, I had a decent role in a film that just got bought called, An Autumn Summer, and, I mean, the stand-up thing and the improv thing, who knows? I've always had those dreams. I mean, watching the Emmys the other night, I go, man, I would love to stand up there and grab one of those things and be that guy. Would I have gone in that direction? I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of friends that are actors. Most of them are younger than me. Bobby Stevenson, who Bobby was in Power 90 and P90X in 3, I think. He's 60 and his career's just starting. Like he's starting to book these I had a great role in Landman, and I go, but I would have been a broke, miserable son of a gun for a very long time. I don't know. Or maybe I would have gotten lucky. I really did love, and I think the reason why P90X and everything I've done is pretty successful is because I have a certain background. I have an acting background, a comedy background, and I'm very comfortable in front of a camera, man. I mean, that's like kind of like where I live. I just know how to turn it on, and partly because in the whole queuing thing, and I appreciate you guys. Nobody cues better than Tony Horton. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Talking to the folks at home, encouraging them, saying, "Hey, man, you're doing great. Glad to be here. But look, I want you to look at Tom here. He's doing it wrong, but we're going to fix him up." And then Sally's, he's killing it. And bop, 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 bop. Let me get down and do a couple too. And I when I created, my program, I go, "These guys are fit and funny." And you put them in front of the camera and go, "Cut, cut, bro. Oh, geez, I guess it's hard." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I appreciate that background. I don't know, dude. I'd be living in a yurt down by the lake. I have no idea what would have happened to me.
Well,
I mean, and when people come up to me, "You've saved my life." I can't tell you, like when professional athletes, when Freddie Freeman, dude, is possibly as good as he is because of some of the stuff that we created.
yeah.
The cop that pulled me over, whatever, it's just I feel blessed, man. I feel so lucky and so blessed by what I mean, look where I live. Are you freaking kidding me? You remember that apartment I used to live in? I lived in an apartment for 21 and a half years.
So that was a
It was
special place, man.
stressful during the
I can
atmosphere
remember
during
the
the
layout of
broadcast.
that place where I was puking in the bathroom because I pushed it too hard.
Or in the alley when we were jumping rope, you puke in the alley
Right?
too.
Seriously, that was
Your vomit, your DNA is still all over that alley, I think, pretty
yeah, right. So, you talk about that, you've been blessed. Well, you blessed a lot of people, and one of the things that's always been cool about your approach to these things, and particularly with, as P90X grew and as Power 90 was growing and then P90X, I always admired the way you turned that into your support of the troops and veterans, and you would travel around the bases and celebrate them, and you were, it was just so mind blowing to see how they would literally set up entire gyms in tents dedicated to P90X running 24/7.
in Afghanistan, in Iraq. I mean, dude, I've been to 64 bases around the world. I've thrown up in so many jets and jumped out of so many Chinooks and just shot machine guns, and you just met and shook hands with people who had PTSD, who were using the program to keep their head on straight, man. I mean, it was an amazing run.
Well, that's why we put together a little challenge for people to get them started, sort of in honor of you. Uh, and it doesn't have to be Power of Four, but we'd love it if it is. That between we got to pick the date, but let's say mid-October till mid-November, every person who does just 10 workouts between mid-October by November 16th, we're going to make a donation to the Save a Warrior Foundation. They help guys who come back and vets who have PTSD or first responders have PTSD. And some of them, well, there's a big suicide problem. And Save a Warrior has really done an incredible job of helping these guys navigate and find real holistic solutions to the issue and engage in life again. So we're going to donate money to the Save a Warrior Foundation for every person that does 10 workouts by November 16th, up to $25,000. It'll be in your name in honor of
Oh,
this,
oh.
this fun, re-engagement with Power of Four. And we just couldn't be more proud of what you've done, obviously for Beachbody and to build this company with me and John and to have helped so many people with your, like, as lucky as you might feel, dude, This company would not be as special as it is if I hadn't been as lucky for Ben Vanderbunt to introduce me to you, because
Right.
it was just next level stuff that we were able to create together. And I'm super proud of it, but I also know I wouldn't have been as proud of it if you weren't in the equation, and I don't know what it would have turned into, but you sure made it fun and interesting, and super honored to be able to do this with you. And then when your book comes out, maybe we'll do something special around that too.
Dude, thank you. Thank you for those, accolades. I appreciate that, and, my friend John Mickelson and I have a word called, synchronicity mixed with serendipity. Like, so many things had to come into play for me to even approach Ben Vanderbunt, a guy I didn't really like very much. He didn't like me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, do something nice for somebody who you're kind of not so sure about. And then here we are, how many years later. And the fact that you want to do that for the troops, and I think there's so many people who really do care about the men and women in uniform and what they do for us. I think that's going to be one more reason to go. Let's do these routines, man. Let's get busy. No matter whether it's the Power Four or any program platform, let's just do that for them and raise some money. And that's a brilliant idea. So, and in my name, geez, that's ridiculous. Thank you.
No. Well, we appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you coming on the BODi Experience, and psyched to see how it goes. I mean, hey, you can't launch a program on a platform in a harder month than October, but you couldn't do it with more energy and charisma than to do it with Tony Horton and Power of Four. So we're proud to add the program to the platform, and psyched to re-engage. So I'll let you get back
Right.
to dinner time or whatever you're doing there, and maybe get a
I'm gonna
shower.
run more hill sprints. I'm gonna run more right
Are
now.
you really?
No, no, dude. I'm done.
Seriously. Give it a rest, man. It's nap time.
But tomorrow, back at
All
it.
right, dude. Well, we appreciate you, and keep up the great work. And for everybody who watched this, I hope you enjoyed it. Share it with a friend. Tell us you liked it. Leave a comment for us. And above all else, between mid-October and November 16th, come to the BODi platform, do 10 workouts. You'll get counted, and we'll make a donation to the Save a Warrior Foundation to honor our vets and also celebrate health and fitness. Thanks for watching the BODi Experience. Thanks for being a part of this healthy community, and thanks for taking care of yourself. Have a good one.